Hey guys, Dr. Stephanie here, and today we're talking about tight calves. I know at some point in your life you probably have had tight calves. Mine sometimes feel like they're tight all the time. So the calf muscles are these muscles back here, mainly the gastrocnemius, that's the big one, and then the soleus muscle is down lower. And the function of the calf muscles, the main function, is to plantar flex or point the toes down like this. The calves are used a lot in running and walking and basically almost everything that we do. So it's pretty common to hold tension there. It's common for them to be tight, and sometimes just stretching doesn't do the trick. You can roll them out with a foam roller, and sometimes that helps temporarily. You can do some static stretching, kind of stretching like this, hanging your heel off a stair, but that doesn't always seem to work. And that's because sometimes those muscles are weak. They're not just tight, they're weak. And so that weakness makes them feel tight because when we use them over and over and over, if they're weak, they get fatigued and they get tight and you feel that tension there. So I'm going to show you some exercises you can do to loosen up those calf muscles, to strengthen them, and to make them feel much better. So we're going to start and do a downward dog position. So just hands on the floor, feet on the floor, head looking, eyes looking at your toes. And from this position, we're going to do a leg pedal. So you're going to point your knee down towards the ground and then the opposite knee. When you point this knee down, you're going to try to push your heel to the floor on the other side and just go back and forth here. Really getting a stretch there, but not just a static stretch. Because we're moving back and forth, we're kind of pumping that blood, getting those muscles moving, making those calves feel better. So you should feel a stretch in your calves as you do this. And you just want to go back and forth for about a minute. You can do 30 seconds, take a break, and then another 30 seconds. And then in this position, you can also just kind of hold that position, kind of rock back on your heels, and then come forward and rock back on your heels. Come forward. You can hold like 3 to 5 seconds, just get a little stretch there. And this will loosen up those calf muscles so we can start strengthening. Okay, so from there, we're going to stand up. And the next exercise is a pretty simple one, but you're just going to come up on your toes and you're going to walk forward and you're just going to walk around on your toes. So this is a dynamic calf strengthening. So you're working on strengthening those calf muscles because you have to hold yourself up in this position. And we're walking around to just get some movement there. All right, you can do that for about a minute as well. And then you're going to bend your knees and do the same thing. So bending your knees gets more of the soleus muscle, which is that calf muscle that's kind of lower down towards your ankle. That muscle gets worked a lot when you run. So if you're a runner, it's important to strengthen that soleus muscle. But again, you want to do this for about a minute. Okay, then what we're going to do is just a simple calf raise. So standing with your knees straight, legs straight, come up on your toes and then back down. You want to come up and then back down slowly. Just up and down. And you want to do about 3 sets of 10 of these. And then once you get good at that, you can actually move to a single leg. So just lift one leg up and then same thing. Just lift your heel up and back down. Heel up and back down. All right, then we're going to make it a little bit more fun, a little bit more complicated. We're going to do a squat. So feet shoulder width apart, a little bit wider. You're going to just squat down, and we're going to stay in a squat position. So you don't need to squat all the way down to the floor. You can squat to 90 degrees, or you can stay a little bit higher if you want to. And you're just going to do a calf raise in that position. So just up and down on your toes. And if you need to hold on to something, that's okay, you can do that. And you want to do about 3 sets of 10 of that one. And then we're going to go into a lunge. So you're going to stand in a lunge position. So 1 foot in front, 1 foot behind. Kind of make sure that your feet are shoulder width apart. So you don't want them in line. That makes it a little bit harder. So feet shoulder width apart. We're going to go into a lunge here. And you're going to do a calf raise on the front foot. So So you're just going to lift your heel up off the ground and back down. Again, if you need to hold on to something, you can definitely do that. And you want to do about 2 to 3 sets of 10, and then you'll switch and do the same thing on the other side, just like this. Okay, we're going to go on the floor next and lie on your back in just like this with knees bent, hands by your sides. And now you're going to lift up into a bridge and stay in this bridge position while you do a calf raise. So you're just going to lift your heels up and back down, up and back down. And you want to do, again, 2 to 3 sets of 10. You can make this more difficult if you get really good and lift one leg up and do the same thing. Do a single leg bridge with a calf raise. But that one's a tough one, so you might want to start with the regular bridge and then progress to that single leg bridge. Okay, so all of those work on a little bit of mobility, a lot of strengthening. The other thing that's important is that sometimes those calf muscles get tight because you don't have enough ankle mobility. So maybe, when you squat down to the ground, your heels come up like that because you just don't have that ankle mobility to keep your heels on the ground. So it's important also to work on that ankle mobility, because the more mobile your ankles are, that will help decrease that stress on your calf muscles, and you won't feel that tightness there. So one way you can work on your ankle mobility is to get in this half kneeling position, and you're just going to rock your knee forward as far as you can, and then come back, making sure to keep your heel on the ground. Just going to go forward as far as you can, and then back. And then you can add to this, and you can go out to the side as far as you can, and then come back, and then kind of into this side. Just making sure you keep that heel on the ground at all times. So we're going to go forward, just pause for a second or two, come back, out to the side, pause for a second or two, and then come in and pause for a second or two. If you have any trouble kneeling and you don't want to do that kneeling, you can place a chair or a couch or just something a little bit higher you can stand. Place your foot on that and do the same thing. You're just going to kind of rock forward and then rock to each side. So that'll work on that ankle mobility. So hopefully doing all of this calf strengthening, working on ankle mobility, working on a little bit of calf mobility as well, that's all going to help your calves feel better. It'll give them more endurance so that if you're doing a lot of walking or a lot of running, you won't feel that tightness in your calves, and hopefully they'll feel much better. So try doing all of those exercises. You can do them every day if you want to. I would recommend probably every other day is better, but you can do whatever feels good to you. So try those and hope that makes your calves feel better.